Yeah, I did it by myself, you know that and I don't need nobody's help tonight. I keep it 100 and you know it. Yeah. I'm making this money just to blow it. Yeah. I did it by myself, you know that and I don't need nobody's help tonight. I keep it 100 and you know it. Yeah, I'm making this money just to blow it.
Hold on, let me talk now. I'ma kick a little rhythm and you'll get knocked down. Nah, now, too busy with the progress. Drop 2 songs in the video project. I'm working long days, late nights in the lap, 10 entrees. Drink up, smoke up, she's on me. Burning Bond Tree, shots of Bombay. Hey, pull up to the show like damn. Smoke up, drink up, I am. I'm action packed like bam. Who says you can't? I can't. Sick raps one day and I know I'll make it. Good taste, very nice, take a couple cases. That's Sanho running up your playlist. I do this here on a daily basis. Thank God for the life I'm living. I chose to do this in the ocean cruising. Ultra movements with the sound of music. I don't care if they doubt the music. Did it myself and I know. Ready to blow. Lights at the show. Fully composed. My opponent just flows. Pass up the silver. Go straight for the gold. Yeah. Vision is clear and I know it. 401k I'ma blow it. I'm constantly thinking and focused. By floating away with the ocean. My vision is clear and I know it. This 401k I'ma blow it. I'm constantly thinking and focused. By floating away with the ocean. Yeah.
I did it by myself, you know that and I don't need nobody's help tonight. I keep it 100 and you know it. I'm making this money just to blow it.
Waking up in my home, trying to make a deal on my phone. Got these rap attacks and this back to back, I just stay afloat in my zone. I don't listen, no, I got a vision, bro. I got a lot of work on my plate. I'm on a mission, though, I gotta really go. I gotta push you out of my way. Hold up, no stop sign, keep it moving. Didn't get help when I felt I was losing. Addicted to music, I'm learning it all. Show up at shows and I give it my all. With my face on the wall with the photo they printed. Talk to myself like I finally did it. Walking upstairs to a whole new dimension. This is brand new and I love it, I'm living. This is my life and I'll live in the moment. Did it myself and I said that I own it. Gotta be focused, knowledge is growing. Put your hands up if you feel what I'm flowing. Mama, I told you I'll make it one day. She told me who cares about what people say. This is all me and I'm chasing a dream. Feeling too good, I got love for the team.
I did it by myself, you know that and I don't need nobody's help tonight.
Trying to get you off my mind.
Keep it 100 and you know it. I'm making this money just to blow it. I did it by myself, you know that and I don't need nobody's help tonight. I keep it 100 and you know it. I'm making this money just to blow it. Yeah.
Off of my mind. Wasting my time. I'm trying to get you off my mind. I'm trying to get you off my mind. I'm trying to get you off my mind. Instead, I'm just wasting my time. If I try to get you on the line, I know I'll be wasting my time. And I get you up out of my head. I just remember the times. I just be stuck on rewind. No, I'm just wasting my time. Yeah, I just be wasting my time. 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 Yeah, and I get you up out of my head. I just remember the times. I just be stuck on rewind. No, I'm just wasting my time. Trying to move forward, get out of my past. I was so foolish to take it with last. Stuck on my mind, but you're not coming back. What was I thinking? Didn't know how to act. Running the streets with my dogs in the pack. Late midnight runs, I was getting the snacks. I'm looking crazy, feeling the backlash. But you know what you got till you lost what you have. All of your social, calling and texting your mobile. Speaking out, trying to be vocal. See, I'm trying to make you my focal. Stuck in reverse, you all on my brain. Replaying us all over again. I just wanna talk, I'm going insane. Wasting my time, still doing the same. Baby, I'm missing your face. I'm missing you more by the day. I know you said I'd be replaced if I kept making the same mistakes. But this time won't be the case. Cause baby, I know I done changed. And it's more.
The mailbox is full and cannot accept any messages at this time.
I'm trying to get you off my mind. Instead, I'm just wasting my time. I try to get you on the line. I know I'll be wasting my time. Can I get you up out of my head? I just remember the times. I just be stuck on rewind. No, I'm just wasting my time.
Musa. My girl, her on Medusa. The bricks in my safe. That money that ain't saved. Massa Musa. My girl, her on Medusa. The bricks in my safe. That money that ain't saved. Tell these niggas pay me in gold bricks. Pay me in gold bricks. Tryna break the bank like Massa Musa. Pay me nigga gold bricks. I hustle hella hard like like I'm from Mali. I ride out with a bad thing beside me. Louis V. Got my trunk on pound cake. Baker's coming soon. In the kitchen all day. I barely go out. I'm in the lab like Dexter. I've been in the gym. Watch how I flex her. I'm flexing. If she not about the dough, I don't vex her. I'm about the mo, not the lex. Massa Musa. My girl, her own Medusa. The bricks in my safe. That money that ain't saved. Massa Musa. My girl, her own Medusa. The bricks in my safe. That money that ain't saved. Tell these niggas pay me in gold bricks. Pay me in gold bricks. Tryna break the bank. Like Massa Musa. Pay me niggas gold bricks.
I just dropped my nuts on them. Got these niggas mad cause I don't fuck with them. If it ain't about a bag, then I can't fuck with them. Tryna hurt my family, we gon' up on them. Yeah, we gon' up on them. I just dropped my nuts on them. Got these niggas mad cause I don't fuck with them. If it ain't about a bag, then I can't fuck with them. Tryna hurt my family, we gon' up on them. Yeah, we gon' up on them. I had to drop my nuts on them. Niggas mad, I don't fuck with them. Block 17s, we stuffin' them. Run up them bags and double it. Make pass me the bag, you fumbling. Say that shit with your chest, you mumbling. Might drop me a tape when the summer hit. Only real niggas I'm fucking with. Hey, shout out the gang, my brother's lit. I'm all about a bag, fuck a bitch. AC the Reem, I can never switch. Reach for my chain, you get hit. Real niggas, yeah, they feeling this. They like Reem, he killing it. And I'm going up. And I can't stop with the ceiling is. I talk about money, you been dismissed. I'm getting bread, fucking this. I stay with a shooter, he gon' switch. I'm all about money, I'm focused. Niggas don't like me, I notice. 650, we the coldest. Murder cap, nigga no cap. I'm tryna hit him with boulders. I'm mixing some rock with the Bel Air. I'm killing myself, but I don't care. I feel like a self-made millionaire. I ain't got it yet, but I'm getting there. 30 rounds next to my underwear. Glock 24, get him out of there. When you in the streets, ain't no playing fair. Play with the family, take it there. I just dropped my nuts on them. Got these niggas mad cause I don't fuck with them. If it ain't about a bag, then I can't fuck with them. Tryna hurt my family, we gon' up on them. Yeah, we gon' up on them. I just dropped my nuts on them. Got these niggas mad cause I don't fuck with them. If it ain't about a bag, then I can't fuck with them. Tryna hurt my family, we gon' up on them. Yeah, we gon' up on them.
Straight up, thuggish, roguish bone. Bitch, I'm doper than a crack stone. Money counted in my home. Go it all sound like a fax phone. Come in for this section 9, trap it off the track phone. I don't take no breaks, re-up right before my sack gone. Shout out my niggas, fishing off the tier, 25 plus years. Needle on the chair, death in their eyes, cold headed y'all stairs. PLR car, NorCal bear, anything less, I really don't care. You ain't shit without your homeboys, okay nigga. I got 2 clips, you ain't even got to share. Niggas gon' see what these doors pop, Pitbull bit on my jaw lock. Bitch, I think I'm Mac Dre, you little bitch, I think I'm Tupac. Can't stop, won't stop feeling myself, no Cody, on me do the drill myself. Niggas acting like it's good, fucking with the fam, you don't want no problem, then kill yourself. Shots to a motherfucker face, put my nuts on your bitch, she ain't handle my dick case. You ain't talking bag talk, bag up, give me space, talking reckless on the road, I'm going up, get it right, little bitch.
I just dropped my nuts on them. Got these niggas mad cause I don't fuck with them. If it ain't about a bag, then I can't fuck with them. Tryna hurt my family, we gon' up on them. Yeah, we gon' up on them. I just dropped my nuts on them. Got these niggas mad cause I don't fuck with them. If it ain't about a bag, then I can't fuck with them. Tryna hurt my family, we gon' up on them. Yeah, we gon' up on them.
Time to kick ass or chew gum. And guess what? I'm all out of gum.
I hope the crick in the neck is a fixable issue. Keep the tools in the back so I don't worry when I miss you. You know my personality, I can't let go. My mom used to let me put my gum up on the bedpost overnight, so in the morning, now that you don't wanna miss it, I'll probably need a couple fillings at the next visit. So I can keep living, I got it so comfy. My favorite thing in life is that my family is lovely. Bumpy roads call for shocks and patience. So save up all your money where you are, where you at for the food. You'll need a little bite for a little bit of fuel. They know you, you know them's in the mind, but you can't get away. They wanna talk until the nighttime. I wish I loved it all, but the wall is empty. Far from the friends. Sometimes I wanna get so far away, like I'd be complacent. Then I'd reach the place that some people say is easy to obtain. When I don't understand, I just don't understand the way. But I'm starting to realize the good in that. There's good in everything, you know? Of all the mangling, of all the tangling up, forget the dumb game, cause I'm not playing it. Perfection, aggression, on the brink of making it right. Taking it back, making a map to get the green lights. Seems right when it's my favor, my way, but I gotta learn it's all about the shades of gray. Mixing up the sheer black, brushing back to back. I got the knack to rap, and I don't lack the plaque. Here's a fact for the vacant little spot up in the top pad. I'm dirty, never flat, like your first car's floor mats. I'm yelling more bap. The room is fine, let me intertwine, recombine an entry not so classified. Asking why I could rock a beat with a bagpipe. I analyze and occupy, and so I don't capsize. To me, they don't act right. That's why I flick the graphite. I wanna push it better, but I can't avoid the gas. Sometimes I wanna get so far away, like I'd be complacent. Then I'd reach the place that some people say is easy to obtain. When I don't understand, I just don't understand the way.
I don't fuck with bullshit, I just tell the truth. And I don't really give a damn what they're telling you. You need to keep your mouth shut while I light the fuse. I put my lighter to the sky and blow the ceiling off the roof, yeah. I blow the ceiling off the roof, off the roof, off the roof. I blow the ceiling off the roof, off the roof, off the roof. I blow the ceiling off the roof. Put my lighter to the sky and blow the ceiling off the roof, yeah. I don't fuck with bullshit, I just tell the truth. I don't really care if you don't fuck with me, the hell with you. I don't think you wanna compare the two, it ain't helping you. I'ma stand right here and shoot a 3 and spit some freeze. Throw this alley-oop, it's going in. Dirt, I got candy in my blunt. Take 2 hits and then you done. Take it all and you get none. Go crazy on the drums. We gon' kick it louder. If you look up to the ceiling, it's gon' bump for hours. So put your hands up. There ain't no room for how you feeling. We gon' stomp around the ground. Knock the roof up off this building. Time to stand up. We spitting fire in the booth. Got the fuse to every bomb and blow the ceiling off the roof. Watch out. I don't fuck with bullshit, I just tell the truth. And I don't really give a damn what they're telling you. You need to keep your mouth shut while I light the fuse. I put my lighter to the sky and blow the ceiling off the roof, yeah. I blow the ceiling off the roof, off the roof, off the roof. I blow the ceiling off the roof, off the roof, off the roof. I blow the ceiling off the roof. Put my lighter to the sky and blow the ceiling off the roof. The only reason that I work alone is that it's hard to trust. Plotting and I'm planning on my future while I roll a Dutch. Lyrics kinda like the hottest lava you could never touch. Polished it and made it plush. Took the pot of royal flush. Back to back when I'm killing tracks, I'm going in and not turning back. Get it right, I didn't order that. I'll start a fire without a match. Trying to match. Let's keep this party on lit mode. You can take a plane and travel out to my zip code 94558. Come and visit, come get with it. Let's get lifted, talk some business, be consistent. I am different, this is me. Open doors without a key. Run the roof right to the ground. Throw debris into the streets full of heat. They can't put me out with water. It's not working. I didn't change, I just evolved. I don't need your petty service. It's a bird, it's a plane. Never mind, it's just a fireball. We taking shots of fireball, busting through these firewalls. So put your hands up. Ain't no room for how you feeling. We gon' stomp around the ground. Knock the roof up off this building. Time to stand up. We spitting fire in the booth like the fuse to every bomb and blow the ceiling off the roof. Yeah, I don't fuck with bullshit, I just tell the truth. And I don't really give a damn what they're telling you. You need to keep your mouth shut while I light the fuse. I put my lighter to the sky and blow the ceiling off the roof.
More shocking than the EKG. Young Kilo G, yeah, you know me. Beat Thor with the master key. Doors stay on the floor, cause I've been low key. I'm the hometown hero. I am hard as a spear throw. Fly as a paratroop, dropping straight in your ear hole. If you don't use your ears, what the heck is you here for? I could die if I cry, but I won't shed a tear though. How you stop a black man from voting? Jail. Send him there with no knowledge of self. Create schools that are more like cells. Destroy his manhood and he surely will fail. Harder than Braille, hard to swallow like kale. Man, I know myself, and I know very well. Aim like William Tell, that's if you can tell. Man, I'm flow so hot, I burn the devil in hell. Blowing like CB4, still on E14. The game want my soul, my brother's still on parole. I told my mama I don't do what I'm told, I just do what I know. Amaranth from the way that I grow. One ring like Frodo, around the world like a yo-yo. Boy, I stay in the dojo, and they can't take my mojo. Man, the flow is for loco, evil like Mojo Jojo. No coon like Domo, freestyle pro bono. Caliber like Gallagher, with my Excalibur. This the Final Fantasy, hit fools with my Magica. Shoot like Gallagher, crawl like Tarantula. I'm the main character, and there's that Brannigan. Internet was made by a black man. I'm not Al Gore, I'm that man. Sealing sucker's face with the fat man. Hard to kill like a samurai on his last stand. With his last hand in the last dance. It's your last chance. Think in advance before you die. Truth or lies, no alibis. This is the present moment, don't be surprised. And still I rise. Like I raise your vibe, percolate your mind. When I step inside, I'm so dang wet. My name is Slip and Slide. I'm a lion's pride, and I just let that ride.
For a minute, with my head up in the clouds, hoping that I finish. I be rapping, I be singing to the day I die. Ambitions of a true survivor, so now I ride. It's my reply to the whole world, know my name. Lights, camera, action to the top, all the way. Yeah, there I go with a smile wrapped around my face, knowing that I made it all the way with God's grace. I found my place with harmonies, keys, and melodies. It's all in my brain. The hustle of psychology possibly made me this way. Since 7 years old, I've been rocking the stage, and now I'm all grown up, and I be doing the same. Yeah,
this is where my heart at. This is who I'll be. This is where I started, and I've been making my way, making my way. It's all about the fame. I've been making my way. Who I am, where my heart at. This is who I'll be. This is where I started, and I've been making my way, making my way. It's all about the fame. I've been making my way.
Ain't no living in this world for free. We all lie for them dollar bills. I'm stacking it in gold, we trust. I got my eyes on the prize, no falling off. Every day is a struggle, but I'm devoted to the cause, so I'm going out. Hustling in these streets on the paper chase, doing features and shows. Get my exposure, that's the reason they wanna hate. But tell me what you know about me. This shit ain't come overnight. Hell, I've been grinding since the age 13. Learn my game in the streets from the OGs. They taught me get money and fuck these haters, let them blow like a wind breeze. D1 don't depend on no man. If it ain't about money, it ain't about me. That's the motto with master plan. I do this for my kids and my family, cause I'm all they got, they need me. So why the fuck would I stop? I'm destined for success, and it ain't come easy. Had to keep my head up, cause the rap game needs.
This is who I am, this is where my heart at. This is who I'll be, this is where I started, and I've been making my way, making my way. It's all about the fame, I've been making my way. Who I am, where my heart at. This is who I'll be, this is where I started, and I've been making my way, making my way. It's all about the fame, I've been making my way.
I'm contemplating life through the lens of death. Sleepless nights begging for a rest. Cardiac is sped up from dreams gone bad. Hot sweat on queen size with a ladder and a P underneath. Is this how it be in eternal sleep without repentance? Better get started, hot some water, light a candle and go far in. As far as time's concerned, it's a blur. All I'm in is all there is. this moment in the making of it. Better intend on my creations, cause when I'm creeping through my back doors, distractors get what I ask for without paying attention. So it's stole from me. Unwanted thieves sleep in my place. I squeeze parables between a few bars just to get space. They got a hold on me. I went to my highest mirror and it told on me. How you doing? Nah, how you being? What happened to you, cuz? That's all I'm seeing. So how is your hearing? Better check the rhymes, Q-tip, and follow advice from this chick. Like, how you doing? Nah, how you being? What happened to you, cuz? That's all I'm seeing. So how is your hearing? Better check the rhymes, Q-tip. So you better check the rhyme. No guess about the quest to be daylight, my soul. Middle of the body, above woman, sacral. Some patterns sacred. So many stay old. Once you told yourself the truth about you, stay faithful. Fake feeling, it be seeming so appealing when it's real at first. So nourishing until you die in a thirst. Backstroke, blind eye, see skies, no signs up ahead. Clear water turn into quicksand. Traveling land with no roots to guide. Scaling rocky terrain with no new boots to buy. No money anyway, all invested now lost. Being unintentional and powerful, it's the cost. Who you finna cross? God in the flesh being. Pictures painted when I meditated, I seeing. Written word predicated on what I was peeping. The bigger in herself spitting game when she was speaking. Like, how you doing? Nah, how you being? What happened to you, cuz? That's all I'm seeing. So how is your hearing? Better check the rhymes, Q-tip, and follow advice from this chick. Like, how you doing? Nah, how you being? What happened to you, cuz? That's all I'm seeing. So how is your hearing? Better check the rhymes, Q-tip. I said you better check the rhymes.
Till the wheels fall off, son. Now tell me why I wouldn't wanna get high or have a fine ass bra rubbing hard on my thigh. Yeah, I can't lie, it ain't perfect all the time, but I've traveled so far down the line that I can't turn back. It ain't hard to tell. I'm so deep that I'm halfway to hell, so I might as well go ahead and get my money's worth before the day comes that my family gotta call dirt and tell them to rehearse my eulogy. Some people might say I've been living foolishly, but I disagree, I'm just living it up, cause it's so much more fun when you don't give a fuck.
Hey, what's up?
What's up?
You wanna have some fun?
How is this podcast?
Well, for 20, you could get a lap dance, but for 100, you could come back with me to the private room.
Oh, I think I like private room. Let's go. I'm halfway there.
Who decides? My quest has taken me. My quest has taken me. The physical, the metaphysical, delusional.
Puzzle piece rearranged, nothing's ever gonna be the same. Cause of them, cause again the world changed. With the wars breaking out, I'm pretty mad they don't make peace. I guess it's no choice and everyone's deceased. Some people love to give and some love to take. Some people love to hate and some celebrate. Mostly celebrate a little too much with 2 blunts, like 2 bums and 2 mums and too much fun. But the dirty gets clean and the poor gets rich and the slow gets quick. One day the pain will turn to bliss because everything will change, and even when I don't allow it, I just found out that I hate the feeling, only like the sound of it. Sometimes it's sad like people caught in the drugs. Sometimes it's awesome like falling in love. But there's methadone clinics out there somewhere, and you sure can fall out of love, I swear.
Must change. Nothing stays the same. Everything must change. Nothing stays the same.
Everyone knows about the process, figured out the altar and the stopping and no popping and forever entangled. The wrangle, the routine with angles and new things. So check it out and take a change and take a name and new jeans. Sights are only set if you expect the rug to pull out from under your feet and make you fall on your head. But the bet another scrape won't phase you and place you inside a part you can't get through. Stepped in the ring, sane, came out with half a brain. Stepped in the land of books, filled out the frame. High as 99 in the 55 in no time. London fog, I love you when the sky is no shine. Up we'll be down, stern turns into clowns, and the clowns get jobs, jobs get found, the found get lost, and the lost find purpose, and purpose sometimes turns out to be worthless.
Everybody wants to change. Everything will change. Everything must change. Nothing's the same. Everything must change.
Take a drive in the country. The summer breeze feels nice. She tells me all about her day. She doesn't really like her job all that much, but she loves her paycheck. I tell her that's bittersweet. She knows. I tell her that I've been looking forward to seeing her all day. I love her perfume. The way her fragrance lingers on my car. She reminds me of the sweetest flower, delicate and enticing. She tells me that I made her day, and that it doesn't matter where we drive, but as long as she's with me, she's safe and secure. I don't care for my job either. I make ends meet. But that's okay, because she knows that one day soon I will empower myself. She believes in me, and that's priceless. We can see the flowers and trees from the side of the road. The moment is beautiful. She doesn't have to tell me that her love for me is real. It's something I just feel. A daisy represents peace, a rose represents passion, and a violet means love. My lady, well, she's all of the above. With the breeze in my face and her by my side, I feel at peace with the world.
Got a nigga. This one right here going out for you bitch made motherfuckers. Fuck ass niggas, bitch ass niggas. I got loogies, all y'all can suck a dick. I got spits, I got loogies, niggas. Check it out. Here we go. Check it out. I'ma put it on, not and let the truth be known. These niggas never had no business touching a microphone. MOS serving niggas, man, I'm way too strong. Wanna see me in this rapping nigga, now it's on. Cats know me by the hustling and my zone. Got the boys ringtone, all through their phone. Don't want the ass that made no fun, I'll leave that ass alone. And OG, motherfuckers better watch they tone. See, I'm clean as a virgin, let smooth like silk. Move a crackhead ass, won't feel no guilt. MOS my own shit, the empire I built. Try to test me in the booth and watch your ass get killed. When I ain't never sugarcoated shit, everything I spit is hit. Stay up in a hater face, I'm that these niggas feeling it. But who you think you playing with? Chatter don't be killing it. I grind real big, why you niggas grind a little bit, nigga?
3 times like Candyman. Better fold on your ass, better fold on your ass. Say my name 3 times like Candyman. Niggas better fold on your ass like an ass of land. Say my name 3 times like Candyman. Better fold on your ass, better fold on your ass. Say my name 3 times like Candyman. Better fold on your ass like an ass of land.
I said the cowards and these kids got the game fucked up. They wouldn't let me in the door, so I blew it up. Then when they criticize my lyrics like I give a fuck, I make them dust in the wind like this weed I puff. Got the swag of a hustler, part of a soldier. Can't beat Dutch, but I already told you. Had to ever catch you, put his ass in a coma. Death from the OGs, cause that's what they told me. Age of 15, knew you bitches didn't hold me. So you can only tell a hater nigga he can blow me. Destroy any competitor, hood street predator. So you can tell the editor, come on, my block ain't never scared. Come on, Mike and a dream, this might be the thing. Got my sights on the cream, and despite what it seems, I'ma put it on the line. Put my heart in every line. Clear block me, gotta say my name 3 times, nigga. Say it. Bitch niggas. Say it. Go. Say it. Bitch niggas. Say my name 3 times, you can say it several. When you need to know it, that I'm about that federal. Some of you in the school, some of you cats is terrible. See, Canada ain't soft, I'm too hard for the radio. Now here we go, watch that boy do the unthinkable. Keep my head above water, mom, 2 unsingable. Don't know why this nigga playing, that princess and actress.
You might see me up in traffic, or I might be here. The time ain't on my side or the ground, so fuck that. Cause it's so fucked up, we ready to rip that flock head. Sleep up out the pad, constantly watching your back. I was told the niggas bust, either duck or bust back. But they already know the homie cat don't play that. And if I did it, then I did it, no bullshit, I'ma say that. OG the mind of a hustler from way back. Create a masterpiece, tell them niggas go bump that. Certified cheddar chaser, no time for the chit chat. Listen to what I'm saying, this information is vital. In competition with myself, five scripts on the title. So when I come up on this money here, I'ma spit it like a hungry. All the fam up in the hood, we simply ain't enough from me. Ain't nothing about me simple or average about my cabbage. Good funk at it. Yeah, for bitch niggas that never had it. I'ma hustle till I can't no more. These niggas start to hate, I put my foot through the door. But you can tell I'm like this right here. Tell them I ain't stopping. Tell them hate niggas I ain't stopping here. I'ma hustle till I can't no more. These niggas try to hate, I put my foot through the door. But you can tell I'm like this right here. Tell them I ain't stopping. Tell them hate niggas I ain't stopping. Hey, I put 7 bangers out and it killed every show. Yeah, guarantee niggas afraid to see, consider me a red ready. No sweat, hit the stage, rock like Bo said. Niggas that act like bitches is a photo, grab a Kotex. Versatile so many ways, I probably never stop. This in my West Empire, nigga heading to the top. Never give a fuck, nah. But about to make my march to all of those who oppose me. You motherfuckers ride. Inside my child, bro, my wife ain't never been that pretty. If I your money or your business, you don't come fucking with me. You might learn the game of that. It flows up in me, that fat boy you used to hate about to fuck up the city. Definition of a hustler, dedicated motherfucker. And I stop before it's getting cheddar one way or another. You asleep when you awake. You niggas gon' discover not your one hit wonder. This cat ain't anti-average sucker, nigga. I'ma hustle till I can't no more. These niggas start to hate, I put my foot through the door. You tell them like this right here. Tell them I ain't stopping. Tell them hate niggas I ain't stopping here. I'ma hustle till I can't no more.
Podcast radio. Anna, you in the building?
Yeah, I am. Sure am. Hey, what's up, Roselle? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
How's it going?
Good, good.
Good. Good. Damn, it's been a hell of a week. And it's only, it's been a hell of a 2 weeks, kind of. So, oh, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, because last week was Bayard Rustin Symposium, my big deal that I spent a lot of time working to put together. It's my big thing. So that was a big deal. And then I had to put my cat Bianca to sleep on Thursday. So that was really hard. So it's like I don't know. My attitude with animals is that I don't want them to feel sick. I want them to enjoy their lives. And so I don't do big treatment with animals. I had a cat that was diabetic and I give him insulin, but then I had a cat when his kidneys started to go, I could have given him fluids and all that to keep him alive for longer, but I don't want my animals to feel partway enjoying their life. And people just become really obsessive about it. So then Bianca had a heart murmur. So she possibly had a heart murmur or cancer. And I just felt, and I could have taken her to get an x-ray. And I mean, part of me feels like I don't want people to think that I'm cheap and that I won't take care of my animals, because I will. It's just, if you start this route of treating a terminal illness and you spend a bunch of money, and the cat and the animal is still kind of sick and they die anyway. So yeah, I decided not to do that. And then I could see she was starting to get kind of weaker. So I made the calls and was starting to look at putting her to sleep, because I just felt like when animals get sick, it goes real fast. So, I mean, a lot of the time, I don't want her to suffer at all. So it was like, and I had an appointment for a couple of days from now to have her put to sleep, but I mean, a couple of days from then. And I was nervous that would be too long. And then our regular vet, who's taken care of my animals before, was able to come that night, and she was just getting weaker and weaker all day. I mean, it just happens so fast with animals. So it's just hard. I mean, she's the only animal I still have from Seattle, where I first started to have cats, and I just was real close to people there, and I was close to our vet there, and the neighbors knew my cat. So I think that and Bianca went through the most changes that I've experienced in my life with me. And my other cats, things didn't change that much while I had them. But I mean, because your animals go through big things in your life with you, so they just get real important. So yeah, so I've been. And then rest in peace, Siren. My friend Calvin's dog just died yesterday, and he'd just been going, she'd had a bunch of surgeries and stuff. And I mean, people just feel very differently about it. And one of my friends, I just had to stop messaging her, because she was going like, what about this? What about this? And I made my decision. She's not going to I want them to feel 100% at all times, because they don't know. I mean, when we go through treatment and chemotherapy and stuff, we know and feel like shit, we know why, but they don't. They just know they're feeling bad. So it's been a long couple of weeks, but yeah. So that's partially why I wanted to take last week off. And I don't know, I mean, the combination of Bianca dying and then the Bio-Rustem Symposium being so much more complicated than it was in the past. It was the least satisfied I'd ever felt with one of my shows. And because I'm just so careful about things, and I'm very careful about not taking on more than I can handle. And so So if just not many people show up to a show, I don't take that personally. That's not how I measure my success at all, because people can be doing something else, and that's just not personal. People just have other stuff to do. It doesn't mean they think I suck or something, but I've never had stuff fuck up like that before. And so it was rough. And then, but I mean, it happens. So, but then I just felt like I felt like I needed to change course in a way that I feel like I might have just painted myself in a corner, or that with trying to work on Black Death, civil rights. I almost felt like I didn't even need to do another Bayard Rustin symposium, because I'd pushed it this far. And I got a message from somebody on the phone who was there, and she's like, why are you doing that in the first place? So, and I mean, then but I'm just determined next year. It was originally just going to be more simple and be showing the film You Don't Have to Ride Jim Crow, because it's the 75th anniversary of the Journey of Reconciliation. And I just decided, okay, next year I'm going to do that, and just that. I'm not going to let other people come in later because they're slower to get back to me. I mean, I'm always just, because I always want my events to just have I want them to be as broad as possible, as broad and as wide as possible. So if somebody gets back to me and is doing something different, I want to put them in. And I made a bad call when I decided not to do the film. I brought in another presenter, and I shouldn't have done that. I should have just let it be. So So I want to start doing, I want to do an event showing the podcast Twitch Talk, which is the podcast I've been on for a while, which is on hiatus right now, discussing episodes of Bewitched. So I want to screen the podcast and have people come in over Zoom who are the Bewitched experts to talk. And I just need to switch gears. I feel like I've gotten too narrowly focused. I mean, there are other things I'm interested in. What?
You're trying to make it a little more relaxed, a little funner?
Yes.
On the funner side, less serious?
Yes, I'm not having enough fun. And I don't want to just be known for one thing, for one or two things either. You got to broaden what you're doing too. But so when I talked to the museum director today about doing it, she said, does it have anything to do with Vallejo? And I'm like, no. So we'll have to see if, yeah, I could be a little fucked with figuring out where to do it. I wish that Artisan was where I showed that event, the one the Upstairs Inferno, the one you saw. That was just such a cool spot. And yeah.
Is that place even still open?
No. I mean, it's just really hard. I mean, there's people that have looked at opening it back up as an art space, but it's just really hard. It's a lot of work to keep an art space going and a lot of stress. And so, I mean, I mean, that's what happened to the hub. And now I got to figure out what the deal is. I'm like a toy store of all the things you can think of to put in to try and revitalize downtown Vallejo. A toy store is not what I would picture. And it's Legos and bricks and stuff like that. so that's just like a lot of people. I mean, sadly, very sadly, fewer kids play with that stuff now anyway, because they're on their little games and phones and stuff. And a lot of people buy their kids presents online. But I mean, for stuff like that, how are you going to pay the rent year round? That's so I'll be real curious. I've been looking in the window and trying to see what they're going to do. And as soon as I get a chance to talk with some of the people from the hub, I'll try and figure out what's going on with that. But and then my comic book. See, I really want, part of the problem with the symposium was presenting my work, and I couldn't really focus on presenting my work or on the show, and that's just rough. And so I really want my comic book to come out so I can just focus on promoting that. So the way he's doing it is he wants to get it all drawn out and then put in the text, or mostly drawn out and then put in the text. Because I've been wanting to see what it will look like. I mean, how he's going to do that part. Because he really, because the text, I mean, that needs to take up space too. There's comic books or graphic novels where there'll be an illustration and then down below there's text, just like a regular book. And so to me, there's no point in, why is it even a comic book if you're going to do that? I want the language to be part of the story. So I don't know. So I talked with Vinny. Vinny says that everybody he talks to about the project thinks it's really cool. So that's good. That's good. It'll be nice to release that. So you were asking me last week about Whoopi Goldberg.
Yes.
Yeah. So what did you? Good old Whoopi. What did you hear?
Well, like I said, I heard about the whole little. She said something about pretty much about what you call it, the Holocaust, and
yeah,
that it wasn't really racial.
Yes, that's
tried to make it sound like it wasn't racial, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
a lot of these famous people have been saying crazy stuff lately. So
yeah, and okay, the conversation was about a Tennessee school board banning Mouse, which is a graphic novel it's a comic book, I guess. I'm not sure. I think it's by Art Spiegelman, a real famous cartoonist, and it's about being the child of Holocaust survivors, and it's been challenged on school boards because people don't like people. I don't know. I mean, parents just don't want it to be assigned. Their parents don't want their kids reading it, and so then all the politicians and everybody gets involved, and they're portraying it like those parents don't want their kids to learn about the Holocaust. And I think in those circumstances, what I would like to see them do is call the bluff. Say like, okay, you don't like this book. How do you think your kids should learn about history? Like, do you have another suggestion? Like, and the Diary of Anne Frank, which I actually have something in my notes about, that has been assigned everywhere for years and years and years. It's been assigned at school. It's one of the most translated books of all times. So I mean, ask the parents if they want their kids to read that, or find that out. And again, people will probably get real mad at me for saying this, but I feel like there is room to challenge your kids reading a comic book in school in the first place. So far as, I mean, I wouldn't, if it were my kid, I wouldn't challenge it, but I wouldn't fight for it either. That's the thing. I mean, so now people are acting like that's the only, I mean, people are acting like, oh, that's the only book that's going to teach kids about the Holocaust at all. And, and it's great for the writer when stuff like that happens, because sales of the book are way up and people start donating copy. There's some comic book distributors sending a free book to anybody in Tennessee that wants one. So it's just not, I mean, I just wouldn't, if my kid were assigned that book, I would just be like, okay, yeah, whatever. But I wouldn't be saying like, oh my God, this is such a great book. I mean, it won the Pulitzer Prize. There's definitely good reasons to be including it. So I wouldn't challenge it, but I'm not going to say this book is the greatest thing in the world either. I have it on hold at the library. I think it's, yeah. So, and part of it, I mean, people feel like they're like, yeah, reading of the Holocaust is traumatic, and there's suicide in the book, and parents, I mean, suicide is now like the second leading cause of death for children. So I think part of the problem with, another problem I have with discussions like this is that it places too much burden on the schools in the first place, that you're talking about deep, serious discussions. And so when you hear people start saying, oh, this needs to be taught in the schools, well, I don't know about that. I mean, I think parents need to talk to their children, and that, genocide and suicide and all of that are things that, should be talked about more in a safe space in the home. I mean, I don't like, say, if you have kids in that classroom that are suicidal, being assigned to read that book, that's a legitimate concern. And it does not mean that people that don't, and it gets all mixed up, because then it turns into like, what about gun control? There should be gun control so there's not school shooters. So, well, like, yeah, that too, but that shouldn't have to do, that is a separate, don't get it all. It's so many big, complicated, intense issues that everybody should dial it down. So Whoopi Goldberg said that, the Holocaust wasn't about race. It was about man's inhumanity to racism. It was about man's inhumanity to man. So that's kind of doesn't make sense in the first way. Like, okay, so racism isn't about that. She said it was white people against white people. And okay, not all Jews are white. And she was saying like, well, she just has this instinct as a Black person, if the Ku Klux Klan is, and she's standing with a Jewish person, if the Ku Klux Klan is coming, they're going to go for her and not the Jewish person. So yeah, theoretically, but when you're talking about genocide, I mean, genocidal people find that stuff out, for one thing. So if you're really talking about violence like that, I don't know. I mean, I think, I don't know, you should be more careful maybe, or just, so yeah, so people thought, but it's just kind of a like, okay, why are you putting it that way? Hitler's whole thing was creating a master race. I mean, everybody knows that. And so yes, that's racism, and it's anti-Semitism, and it's hateful. And I mean, in a way, it's also discriminating against everybody that's not in the master race, whatever that might be. So, yeah, I mean, I think when you have as big an audience as she does, that you should be held to a higher standard. That, a lot of that, if that many people are listening to you, yeah, what you say is very serious. So then she went on a talk show, and that's when she I think that's when she started talking about the, you know, the whiteness and all of that. And so, but okay, Whoopi apologized, and then they had a guy from the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, come on the show and explain the issue and explain what was problematic. So, okay. And then the ADL, they tweeted out that they fully accept the apology and they don't want Whoopi Goldberg to be canceled. So, okay, like, there is a lot of people, there's a lot of people that can say something and will just be like, you know, a lot of people, A, won't apologize, and B, won't publicly take steps like that. I mean, you know, but by doing that, she showed that she takes it really seriously, that this is important, and that she has stuff to learn. So,
well, you know, with the new cancel culture, it's like once someone says something, they just want to grind on the person.
Exactly.
They can apologize, and it's stupid. I mean, people make mistakes, people say crazy stuff, and sometimes you gotta, you know what I'm saying, people be tripping too hard. Like, people don't ever mess up and say stuff like they can't say something
exactly
that might offend. I mean, it just happens, and you know, if you apologize, let it go.
Yeah, you know, and particularly, I mean, you know, it's not, you know, and she's speaking from her experience as an African-American person. And so, yes, my reaction, I mean, I feel very differently about Whoopi saying something like that than I would about just your average white person saying something like that. I mean, and like, yes, it's different. So apparently, what it also had to do, I mean, people felt like decisions like this are made by network executives, and probably like other network people were saying like, oh, we need to take this stand about it. And I mean, I just think that's like, okay, well, we're going to suspend Whoopi for 2, you know, it's like, you know, that's treating her like she's a child. And, you know, there's rumors that she's just going to say like, fuck you and do her own thing. But I mean, you know, I think she makes like she has her contract. I mean, I think she makes like $7 million a year or something, you know, I mean, she has, but yeah, I mean, that's bullshit to treat her like that. And, you know, people were bringing up like, oh, she said she was a Jewish American princess 7 years ago. Like, she's a comedian. Okay. And yeah, so the other thing I think is very problematic about some of these cancel culture issues is that I see it happens very much with gender. Having different opinions about who we are and how we got here and who we are in relation to each other, not everybody's going to think the same. And I don't like that comes up for some reason. There's people that think it's like, there's people that feel very strongly that you need to say you're born gay. And if somebody says it's a choice, there's people that are insulted about that. Well, you have different, I mean, like, how can you possibly say that it's like everybody's experience is the same? And that happens hugely with gender issues. And I was just reading an article by a woman who was like now it very much in academics by a woman who was like canceled because she said something like, you need to be a woman to give birth. And that, okay, the whole issue, like you're going to get in trouble if you don't say like trans women are women exactly on the party line. If you deviate from that from any way, you could be canceled. Is anybody listening?
You know, that's one thing I've always wondered about, that is with the whole transgender thing is I don't know. I don't know. That one was always weird to me about calling someone that's transgender. Let's just say they were born a man, born a woman, and just acknowledging that they're born a woman, but they get offended because they don't want to be known as a woman or as a man. And it's like, to me, it's like, I don't know. I don't think they should get offended, but I don't get the whole cancel culture with it. I mean, I don't know. That's just me.
Well, yeah, and that's what like now you're not supposed to say pregnant woman, you're supposed to say birthing parent. That's literally stuff you're supposed to say now. You're supposed to say, because not everybody that gets pregnant identifies as a woman. And there's people that have been fucking canceled. And that's when
that's crazy.
That's one of the things that got J.K. Rowling canceled. She's like, because she posted on Twitter something like saying like, oh, they were talking about birthing parent, and J.K. Rowling posted like, wait, isn't that a woman? And that's one of the things that got her canceled. So that's
kind of an issue. They have rules like that where I work at. You know where I work at. We don't need to discuss where I work, but where I work at, they have the same rules. Because there's a medical place next to me. Let me just say, there's a medical where I work at. There's a medical version of us next to me.
Yeah.
So over there, a lot of transgender don't want you to call them by you can't call them by their first name. Let's just say someone's name is actually Rodney Jenkins. Maybe they want to be called Rhonda Jenkins. But the way that they handle the issue is you just call them by their last name.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way they handle it, but that happens there. So you couldn't call nobody by their actual name if they want to identify as something else. So Rodney might want to be Rhonda. So
well, that's the least of to my understanding, that's the least of anyone's concerns, because the big issue is whether people will be housed according to their born gender or their.
Yeah, that's crazy too.
Yeah.
That's another issue that's going on with that one is I don't know, man. To me, this also comes in the realm of sports and stuff like that. It's like, I think certain situations, I hate to say it, and it's not against transgender people, but sometimes you gotta be put in an area where your gender you were born as. You can't. There's been some issues, like there was like MMA. There's a guy that wanted to be a girl fighter.
Yeah,
dude, it was just crazy. The transgender dude beat this girl to a pulp.
Yeah.
It just didn't even.
There's been a couple cases like that.
And it's like, how are you gonna do that? Like the basketball player I'm
Yeah.
like, come on, dude. Really? I mean,
Yeah, the swimmer, somebody was on hormones for a year and then she gets to compete. Yeah, so it's, you know, I mean, again, it's okay. Anybody gonna cancel me? Go the fuck ahead.
Tell him, get him.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm part of the LGBT community, and yeah, and the point, I'm not even, and again, whatever, if any of you can't, I'm not even saying so much what my own opinion is, because I don't think, I mean, for the purposes of the show and what I'm saying, I don't really, that's not the point. I mean, the point, there's different opinions about identity. And so the big thing is, people get mad if you say, you know, you're not supposed to say trans women are trans women. You're supposed to say trans women are women. And I'm sort of like, well, maybe that is my opinion. I'm like, fuck that. Like, no, they have a different life. They have a different life experience. Like, no, trans women are trans. So yeah, that could get me fucking bashed. I mean, that could get me canceled. So, but you know, and so, I mean, so to me, that is related. That does have something to do with the question. I mean, okay, Hitler was literally talking about a master race, but questions about identity and who is who and what makes us who we are, that's just, I don't think opinions are right or wrong.
Right, but didn't Hitler kind of, in a way, didn't he make kind of like, I would say, characteristics of a master race? Didn't he?
Yes.
He came up with reasons that, you know, blonde hair, blue eye, you know, he so technically in his mind, if you were blonde haired, blue eye, you were considered German or whatever he wanted you to be, the master race to be.
Well, they did some kidnapping of blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jewish children. Some, but you know, I mean, no, for the most part, if they were Jews, they were dead. They didn't.
So they didn't worry about that if they were blonde-haired and blue-eyed.
No, some of them were kidnapped, but mostly no, because they would still have been Jews. I mean, so, but yeah, and then they, so, yeah, but you can, like, I don't know, I mean, in a way, if you don't, I don't know, I mean, I just think there's a, like, identity and stuff, like, there's death with a small d, and that means the condition, and then there's being deaf, and then there's deaf with a capital D, and that means you identify, that means it's deaf. So there's people that are there, people will say I'm deaf but not deaf, and so, and you know, I mean, and I'll just say, I mean, for the purposes of, I mean, in a way, I mean, I think I'm a living demonstration that the Holocaust was racism, because I don't identify as Jewish, but according to the world, like, yeah, I am. And
so to the world, what makes you Jewish, in your opinion?
My mother and father were Jewish. Their mother and father were Jewish. We are fucking, I mean, I don't want I'm like, I think, I mean, you know, if it weren't Jewish, Hitler would probably think I'm like the only person I know that is one race.
So what you're saying is, your parents being Jewish, which I assumed, I thought Jewish was a religion, right?
It's also a race.
So
and culture.
What race is Jewish? What is that?
Well, that is one of the things, actually, that's one of the things, well, because there's Black Jews, and so, and Asian Jews. It, like, if you do a DNA test, which I keep meaning to ask, because my brother did it, and I mean, you know, he thought it was interesting. I don't, but I keep meaning, DNA, like, people will say that their DNA tests tell them that they're Ashkenazic Jews. Ashkenazic Jews are Eastern European Jews. So I'm not even like, I don't even have that much fucking diversity. My whole bloodline is fucking is Eastern European Jews.
So technically, if you're Eastern European, you're considered Jewish.
No, that means Eastern, there's Eastern European Jews, there's Western, then there's Western European Jews, and they're and then they're called the Sephardic, and then there's Arab Jews that are called Mizrahim. And so they're,
isn't that still considered more of a religion than a race? Because that's what I'm trying to figure out is, if someone says, because I've been told this, I've worked with someone and he told me he was Jewish, but he explained to me that he told me it was more of a religion than a race. So it's not like you can just, like, someone, and I'm still trying, I've never figured out what is that, if it is, I have heard that before, but what is that race?
Well, it's a race because I'm considered Jewish, but I'm a Christian. So, I mean, I chose to become a Christian. It is a super weird category. And actually, I mean, I'm kind of, hiya, Hira. I mean, I'm kind of giving my take. What I'm saying is a much more common thing. I mean, most people will tell you that Judaism is not just a religion, because there were Jews that were killed in the Holocaust that were like me, that were assimilated, that considered themselves Germans, but they were still, if they had Jewish parents, they were Jewish. So
would you consider, like, someone who's, let's just say they were born Israeli or in Israel, would they be considered Jewish?
Not if they didn't have Jewish parents. No. There's Israeli Christians, there's Israeli Muslims, which is why I think and again, like, this is a crock of shit. That is why the argument that, that's why I think Zionism is wrong. I think it's wrong because it's saying that Israel belongs to the Jewish people, which is a racial category. So I think that's racist. And so, yeah, I mean, so, you know, I mean, if anybody, it would not, I don't know. I mean, it's weird. And there is like DNA and all of that, because, one of my grandfathers was born, I had one grandfather born in Poland, one grandmother born in Russia, one grandmother born in the US, and then I had a grandfather born in Ireland for reasons that I've never quite understood or bothered to find out, because I think that they were on their way somewhere and stopped in Ireland, because I mean, there are Jews everywhere. So, but yeah, I mean, it would not be accurate for me to say that I was Polish or Russian. Jews, that's not how Jews thought of themselves, and it's certainly not how Poles thought of them. So, I mean, I think the only comparison would be Romani people. Romani people are the the incorrect term for them is gypsies. There's and Hitler they were sent to concentration camps too, because Romani people there's different, like within Judaism, there's different culture. There's different cultures and nationalities within Romani culture too. So I actually think that is the most similar. But there's other people that don't, like there's the Kurds, and I don't know, they're considered like kind of stateless, but I don't know, but they're Muslim. Yeah. And then just one of the reasons I disagree with why it's important to me in a way to like say I don't identify as Jewish is because you don't get to choose. And if I'm supposed to be practicing a religion and I want to be able to choose that, I should be able to choose that. I should, and when I was a kid, it was all I knew. I'm like, why the fuck do I have to why the fuck do I have all these commandments that I have to follow? And just because my family does it, they don't mean anything to me. So, but there's gonna, for example, the person you were talking about that was telling you that at work, it's not because like one of the things because there are a lot of Jews who don't practice. This is one of the unusual things about Jews, about American Jews. There's a lot of Jews that don't practice, that are not interested in practicing Judaism, but identify as Jews. I was talking, but this is one of the things I liked so much about Pastor Quick at FMBC, because he understood that. There's Jewish atheists. So for the most part, what most people do not consider it just a religion. But for example, I'm not going to, I don't think there's anything wrong with your coworker thinking that. I'm not going to go, I wouldn't argue with him about it. It's just opinions about, I just think that some things are just ideas or opinions or beliefs. And that's a problem. It's a problem when that creates strife between people.
Crazy.
Fucking crazy, man. So, okay. Well, I hope if anybody was listening, you enjoyed our little commentary about Whoopi Goldberg. Let's do some news from the state of Israel. Okay. And then we should okay. Amnesty International accuses Israel of apartheid. And this has been going on for a long time. And to me, it's an example. So has Human Rights Watch. And the fucking government of Israel goes ahead and issues a statement saying that it's anti-Semitic. It was like, here we fucking go, man. Like they are talking. Nobody has said, the state of Israel is a Jewish state, but none of the human rights people are saying that the state, they're not saying it's because the state is Jewish. They're saying it's because it's a fucked up government, and that it's just, they're talking about this state, this country, this government there's Jews all over the world, and it's not, they aren't talking about them. So how people can continue this logic is, and they're not, I don't know, I mean, in a way, I don't know, I mean, there's actions, they're talking about actions by a government, they're talking about policies. And so yeah, and like, oh, come on, like Human Rights Watch, and I mean, these are and it's organizations. Then the other thing that Zionists like to say is that, well, they're just targeting the state of Israel. Like, well, no, they're not. They report on human rights issues all over the world. So yeah, it's just ridiculous. And then and then they're very good at trying to get everything confused, because get down, Roman, get down. Because get down, Roman. So yeah, they're talking, and so it's just, I don't know how people can still believe this. And they're like, well, why aren't they? It's just the height of whataboutism. Well, why aren't they talking about other countries? Well, they are a huge organization, and they talk about countries all over the world. So, okay. There you have it. So, okay, you want to take a break?
Let's do it.
Okay, we'll be back shortly, everybody.
Yeah, I guess we gon' make some memories today. Cause Dynasty, cause I know. Yeah, I said I know. Wondering why niggas see things. I be seeing these demon things, these demon rings, these demon things, these hoes in my presence. I see things in these hoes know that I know. Shut them out, yeah, I go ghost. I don't give a fuck, nigga. You can post subliminal posts, indirect. What the heck? Personality need to check. No internet thug. Show up your face, nigga. No love. I don't give a fuck, nigga. No love. I don't give a fuck. Bitch, what's up? You posting subliminals, I knew enough. Bitch, you hella mad, you ain't coming tough. All these motherfuckers hating on me, cause they doing shit consistently. Watching me too much, you fucking out, night out. Bitch, we was never hanging out, we was never motherfucking pals. Doing this shit, I'm going wild, bitch, you ain't even ever gonna touch my style. Nigga, I'm hot, maybe spicy, but never mild. Bitch, get down on your own level. I'm on another motherfucking frequency. Bitch, you ain't got shit up on me, so stop talking to me. You think I'm intimidated? I already graduated from a nation of a motherfucking people that hate it. I don't give a fuck, nigga. I'ma show you I'm a motherfucking demonstrated, action regulated. You motherfucker don't know shit. Get out my face when you end up in a pit, in a trench. Army shit on this motherfucking bitch. Military, militant, motherfucker, take this shit. Call me sick, call me 5350. I don't need nobody next to me. Too many niggas cross me. I put up a wall, nigga, you can't even touch me. Telling me you gotta do this, you gotta do that. I'ma do me and I'ma do it back. I'ma do it back to back. Why you won't try to imitate that? You can't put it back, I'ma put it back. I'ma put a new style on the motherfucking map. I'ma show you motherfuckers when I'm coming hard, where I'm coming, nigga, I'm coming facts. All these hoes wanna hate on me. Bitch, I already see. Bitch, I already see. Yeah, I'm doing that on purpose. Cause I knew the rest of the world wasn't even worth it for you or worthless. I don't give a fuck, nigga, if you hear this and you motherfucking diverted. But it's just motherfucking the number you passive aggressive bitches. In my face you smiling, but you a fucking trick. On my motherfucking death list, I don't give a fuck, bitch. You brought your own motherfucking last wish. You ain't even saying shit to me. Get out my face for you end up more than empty. Your family won't even have a fucking surname. Get the fuck back before I bring more pain. Nigga, you don't know shit about
Until I close eyes and soul rise, I want it. Oppose mine, the 4-5, I'm gon' get. I'm knocking and I'm knocking, they won't let me in. They turning me into a demon, they gon' make me sin. My mama handed me a Bible, told me pray for myself. When I ain't got nowhere to go and ain't nobody to help. When money low, I feel the spirit lurking. I start smirking and then my body start jerking. Jackie on it like, get in. For me to win, if I got the sin, then I got the sin. Why the fuck should I pretend? It's Babylon. You Babylon while I see how much a bulletproof vest on Amazon. Jackie, wait, I'm raised as a Christian. Position got me tripping. Lord, I think I'm losing my religion. I'm out here struggling, juggling, money, lifestyle, loving shit. Should I repent? Listen up, Jack, trust, nigga. Ain't no motherfucking God, it's just us, nigga. I put that gun inside your palm, is you gon' bust, nigga? It's just a portion of the plan, this is much bigger. What you lust, nigga? Until I close eyes and soul rise, I want it. Oppose mine, the 4-5, I'm gon' get. I'm knocking and I'm knocking, they won't let me in. They turning me into a demon, they gon' make me sin. Until I close eyes and soul rise, I want it. Oppose mine, the 4-5, I'm gon' get. I'm knocking and I'm knocking, they won't let me in. They turning me into a demon, they gon' make me sin.
We back, y'all. Anna's Podcast Radio. You ready to do this? Anna.
Yeah.
All right.
Right here. Right here. Yeah, so, you know, intent matters. And so, I don't know. I mean, I've so rarely, I so rarely ever use the word metaphysical, but that's what I feel like some of these conversations are like, you know, it's what, like, you know, thinking about being human, our relationship in the world, who we are, our relationship to the world. There's a lot of ways to look at it. I don't think I mentioned this. The guy from the my father doesn't like my grandfather didn't like the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, because they think people should be allowed to be anti-Semitic if they're anti-Semitic. And that my father just says he doesn't need some organization to chase anti-Semitism. And I don't know. Yeah. So the guy, I thought the guy that came on The View was just very cool. He was real chill, and he just didn't come across as, and then I saw him on CNN that night, and he just was, I felt like he was just trying to make something into a larger general discussion. It's not about one comment, you know, that somebody makes that didn't come out quite right. And he said, he said, well, you know, it's the first day of Black History Month, and just like we need to talk about Black history year round, we need to talk about anti-Semitism and keep learning. And so I thought it was good that he was making connections to things that a lot of people in the US are concerned about. So, okay, this is, oh man, okay, one of the things that we've talked about is, why do migrants risk their lives? And so there was just a crossing from Cuba to Florida where around 30 people died. And one of them said, when you're in Brazil, they promise, I think they went from Cuba to Brazil and then tried to get to the US or something. No, this was, they promise you'll be traveling in a top-notch vessel, like a yacht with 4 people tops. But when you arrive, they change everything. They said 15, 20, 30 people on a single boat, and they won't leave until they have enough people. And so one of the reasons that there is so much migration is economic devastation from COVID. And there's also been devastation educationally. So I was reading that up to 70% of 10-year-olds in low and middle income countries cannot read or understand a simple text, up from 53% pre-COVID. And I was just reading a article about a woman with a single mother with 5 kids, and the little one's daycare was closed, and the 14-year-old was supposed to be watching the younger kids, and the 4-year-old like wandered off and went and was found. But then 2 weeks later, the cops showed up and handcuffed the mother and, took her to jail. So like, okay, well, great. That's really, now who's supposed to watch her children? And it was, I mean, there's sometimes more to the 4-year-old went to a friend's house and the friend called the cop, a neighbor, because what kind of friend would do that? I mean, if something like that happens, you need to say, hey, your kid did this and I'm concerned. I mean, so yeah, it was pretty fucked up, but that sort of situation is just getting worse and worse with COVID and daycares shutting down, and everything's just kind of bursting at the seam. And then inflation. I was looking at this, I think like a container of almonds is like $15 or something. I was out at the I was out at the food distribution site where I volunteer today, and it was one of the busiest days we'd ever had, and it's the beginning of the month, so I think people are really, really broke. And okay, one of the things that is happening in West and Central Africa is that there's been several military takeovers. And so it's kind of interesting, stuff like that happens. I don't know. I mean, part of it, I think, is that some of these country boundaries are just kind of porous. So it's going to be cultural dissatisfaction. But coups, there's been a coup over the past 2 years. There have been military takeovers in Mali, Chad, Burkina Faso, and Guinea. And as far as further east, Sudan isn't West Africa, but it's Central Africa. So and then they just expelled the French ambassador from Mali. And so I was watching footage of this, of people like cheering, and he was leaving. And I'm thinking like, okay, wait, why is this even being described this way? It's like, it's basically saying that son of a bitch has never left. Okay. So in a way, it's like, if you kick out your ambassador, the ambassador is supposed to be somebody that's invited, that's kind of invited. So if you kick them out, like, yeah, they should go back. They're not people that have just been there. And the other thing, and so Molly was engaging more with Russia, and my head was kind of spinning because, as I've talked about a lot, I study decolonization, and so this is just a continuation of it. Like basically, it hasn't ever stopped, and that was, I've been reading about the CIA presence in Africa in the 50s and 60s, and they were doing it to try and keep, I mean, for the finances and to keep out the then Soviet Union as part of the Red Scare or whatever. So now Putin is in there, and China, and so that is what people are concerned about with these military takeovers. So, okay, good. So I'm not the one who feels like really not much has even changed in 60 years. Okay, because wait a minute. Why is there a French ambassador? Why didn't they just fucking leave? And what? And so what I was reading about why this is happening, in a comment I read was that West Africans have become quite Republican. They provide their own food, generate their own electricity and infrastructure. They expect just a little from the state, but the state still fails. So that's why there are these military takeovers too. People don't like, we talk about democracy, but people have not seen it working for them. So although it's hard to tell, well, I mean, some of the rulers were overthrown by popular, but I mean, it's really hard to tell with military coups since that's not led by citizens either. So, okay, in Burkina Faso is having, this is something, okay, the former president of Burkina Faso was Thomas Sankara, and he was assassinated in 1987. And he's remembered as a hero. I don't know, when people are assassination, this is so fucked up. I mean, assassination can really help your image. It can, I mean, who knows if he would have turned around to become corrupt as well. I've been reading about Kwame Nkrumah, who was a very inspiring revolutionary leader, who was the president of Ghana, and he wound up being deposed too and becoming corrupt. But since the United States was was attempting to destabilize the government from the beginning, in other countries too, it's really hard to say, but he was assassinated in a coup, and then it's confusing, and by the current and then he so there's been a trial, and the military junta reestablished the Constitution, so the trial will continue. So, I mean, I just hope that it will be meaningful to the people that live there. Like, was he really a populist leader? And that will head into something else I've been reading about populism. Okay, actually, one more note about the Holocaust. There was, I think I mentioned this in the show before last, there was new research came out claiming pointing the finger at who betrayed Anne Frank and her family. And they did it, they got a retired FBI agent to get involved, and kind of using both old technology and new technology. They're able to do much more comprehensive searches now through information and find patterns. So they pointed the finger at a notary, another Jewish person. But the Dutch publisher has suspended printing of a book that saying that there were questions about the research behind it. And I don't know. I mean, it just seems like, God, what about the family of this notary? I mean, if you're not, I don't know, I mean, publishing a book saying that you suspect something which cannot be proved and the guy's long gone, all you're going to do, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I am usually all in favor of finding stuff out from the past, but I think you really need to think about the effect that would have on the living. So I've been reading a book called The Execution, or I just finished a book called The Execution of Willie Francis, and it's about African-American 17-year-old that was executed in the electric chair in Louisiana in 1946. And what make the case unusual, or I guess, is that so he was convicted of a crime supposedly he committed when he was 15. He did not have legal counsel. The ballistic evidence was lost. His so-called defense attorneys didn't call any witnesses. So he was sentenced to die in the electric chair and was put in the electric chair, and the people running it were not, it was a warden and an inmate who had both been drinking all day. So it didn't kill him. He was just, he finally was screaming like, I'm not dead. So he didn't die. So they took him back to his cell, and the next day his father went to a Cajun lawyer, and asked him to help. So it was a year-long legal struggle to prove that it was cruel and unusual, that it was torture, that it was cruel and unusual punishment, and that instead it should be that he shouldn't need to go back to the electric chair. And nobody ever even looked at the problems with the trial in the first place. So it was it was one of those cases. It was two white lawyers that took the case and worked with the NAACP. And it was, I'm not sure, it was interesting for me to be reading right now, because the case was sent to the Supreme Court. And so there was a lot about the Supreme Court, and they would send the case back, and it was just real confusing about whether, it just would get really into this legal language. Like, first they're saying that if his conviction was to be put in the electric chair and electrocuted, that had happened. So basically the state had carried out the sentence. even though he didn't die, the sentence had been carried out. So it was just looking at legal things like that. And he eventually, it's kind of, when you look at legal cases, and he kind of, like, people were writing all over the country in support of Willie Francis. And so one really strange thing is that then you also go back and look at the evidence. He actually probably did it. It was because the guy he had written on the wall something. He had said, "It's between me and him." And so the guy was an older, unmarried pharmacist who had employed Willie Francis and who was supposedly having affairs with married women in town. And so when you look at that era, a lot of the time when you look at, you think somebody like that was a successful businessman of that age, like, you know, charming lots of people, that he may very well have been gay and possibly could have like assaulted Willie Francis. So it's not, I mean, all the evidence was thrown away, but Willie Francis just became, he was finally like, okay, he was religious, and he finally just said, like, they're saying he spent a year with these, you know, going back and forth, and finally just, you know, went ahead and did it. But it was interesting partially because Biden is going to have a Supreme Court seat to a Supreme Court justice is stepping down. So Biden will be able to appoint somebody, and so the timing, one of the things is that now we're saying the Supreme Court has been so politicized because, like, no, of course it's not supposed to make a difference, that the timing isn't supposed to make a difference, but of course it does, because he can do it in this, there's kind of this window where if the guy steps down, Biden can appoint somebody, he can possibly appoint somebody and get them in there before, I don't know how you can possibly get somebody on that seat without them being confirmed, but it's some sort of timing thing, or so they can do it before the House of Representatives, you know, before everything flips red. That's the timing aspect. So yeah, it's interesting. And I guess in the past, because there's this theory that Biden might appoint Kamala Harris to the Supreme Court, which would give her a dignified way out in 2024. So, yeah, which is rough. I don't know. I mean,
very rough.
Yeah, because it just seems so I asked my brother about that, because I was going like, man, I mean, I understand the reasons for it, but it's just sad. It's just really sad and really frustrating. But my brother told me that it is every lawyer's dream to be on the Supreme Court. Because I said it sounds so boring. I mean, like, would you like to be?
It seems like close to being like, like a big time case. You know what I'm saying? Supreme Court is like average, but it's the big time, so to speak, unless you get like a big case.
Well, they're all, I guess part of it. See, I think you're on, I think you caught on to this before I did, because they're all big cases. I mean, it has to be a big case to go to.
Yeah, but I'm saying like when you do Supreme Court is like big time. That's the pros.
Yeah,
I feel like that's the pros to them. But I'm talking about like, which I guess are all Supreme Court. Like unless you have something like the OJ trial or something, that's kind of like more of a celebrity slash popularity type thing, so to speak.
Yeah, because I asked him about that, and I said, would you like to be on the Supreme Court? And he's like, yeah. He's like, it's every lawyer's dream. And I said, why? And he said, because it is the most intellectually challenging job you can have. So I was like, well, okay. I mean, well, that's cool.
So Anna, could you be a lawyer?
Pardon me?
Would you be able to be a lawyer?
Oh yeah, I'd be a good lawyer. I mean,
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
As being a lawyer, do you think you could defend somebody that you know is guilty?
Well, that's the great question. If you
you can't be a lawyer. I'm just telling you that you wouldn't be able to be a lawyer.
Yeah, you would, because you don't have, you would. Yeah. I mean, besides, let me finish what I'm saying. Okay. Because I've had this discussion with my brother a lot. And one of the things that defense lawyers do is, how he puts it is that as a defense lawyer, you're making sure that somebody's rights are being respected, that people have a right to a trial, and they have a right for things to go a certain way. And he's saying that, like,
so you would technically be able to defend someone if they literally told you in private, hey, I did it, I'm guilty. You'd still be able to defend them?
Well, you're defending. I mean, there's different aspects of it. Like, again, I mean, and certainly in some, there's a lot of situations where somebody may have committed a crime, but you want them to get a fair sentence.
So technically you would defend them, but if they admitted they were guilty to you, even though there's a chance they can get off, if you were able to defend them, I mean, would you help them to get off? Would you make it to where they can get off, even though they've told you they did it? Would you still do it? Would you still defend them?
I mean, actually, there's, I don't know. I mean, I was having this discussion with my brother a lot during the Ashcroft, when John Ashcroft was Attorney General. And he's saying, yeah, I mean, you're making, like, for example, I mean, you're like, if you're in a lot of places where, like, say, if you're defending somebody that stole a pack that had, like, a gram of weed, and you're looking at him being sent to jail for 20 years, hell yeah. So there's cases like that. I mean, not every, there's defense attorneys for that. If you're trying to say, there's all sorts of aspects, if you want to, like, get your client, like, like, okay, do you want them to have a chance for something, or rather, but honestly, there's so many other, that's kind of a small percentage of the legal field. I mean,
That's true, but if that came towards you and that was like one of your cases, it was like, Anna, here's your case, and the guy was like, I did it, but no one saw me do it, so I know I can win the case, but I did it.
Well, then you would counsel, but okay, well, then you would counsel. I mean, that doesn't matter in terms of somebody getting a fair trial. I mean, look at our justice system. Look at our injustice system. I mean, look at how many people look how unfair and unjust sentencing is. And say if somebody and sentencing is unjust, then you're also looking at, there's all sorts of cases like where if there's entrapment, if somebody was illegally, if somebody wasn't read their right, actually, I mean, reading their, I think that mainly happens in TV and movies.
So your answer is yes, you would still defend them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I just gave you a whole lot of scenarios where you would. I mean, if you're trying to defend us, I mean, if like, say if you, I think you're kind of asking like whether I could defend a serial killer.
Well, I mean,
or a child abuser.
I didn't. That's a good example. Let's just say somebody killed, so we can put it on that way. Let's just say someone murdered. They admitted to you, hey, I did it, but I know no one saw me or blah 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 this, so I know I can get off.
Well,
but they let you know that they did it.
Well, in a situation like that, but you're not, a lot of the time in a trial, like, you're not even and a lot of time in cases like that, you're not even saying they didn't do it. You're looking at reason, then you're going to be looking at like murder, manslaughter, or you're going to be looking at different things somebody could be sentenced for.
I kind of see what you're saying. You're kind of going to try to, so you would try to fight for a lesser sentence, so to speak.
Or you could be, well, like, I don't believe in the death. I don't think the death penalty is right, but actually you're trying, or you could be trying to prevent the death, somebody being executed. But yeah, I mean, it would certainly be damn, you're trying to defend a child abuser, or, I suppose that would be really hard, man. That would be harder in a way than, but you're still but people still have rights. And it's sort of like, we're not judged by, it's easy to stick up for nice people. It's easy to, that's kind of why, and that's kind of why, I don't want to toot my horn too much, but I'm, like the whole, I was looking at some of my Facebook postings from last year about, all the like letters and like writing an interview I was doing about Hakeem Brown being called racial epithets. My point was like, I don't care what he did. Don't use, it's wrong to use those words. So if you're you're like, yeah, it'd be really hard, man. I'd have a real hard time defending a rapist, or, but there's a lot of different things you can do as an attorney, for one thing. I mean, I really like, there's just so many different things. And yeah, I have another legal case I'm about to get into. So, yeah, I mean, you would be looking at whether this person was unjustly arrested. Yeah, I mean, there's aspects that would be really hard. I mean, like, yeah, you could be, I certainly believe that everybody deserves a fair trial. So you're not always, I think there's a lot of cases where I don't know, you're not, there's not so many cases where you're really trying to look like whether this person's going to walk or not. I mean, a lot of time you are just looking at different, I don't know. I think that's, again, something you see more in movies than in real life. Or if you you can be trying to do different circumstances, or there was a lady that was executed, a woman that was executed, and they were trying to, her lawyers were, they tried to get her life in prison. I mean, yeah, she did something horrible. I mean, on the basis of, you can, if you genuinely believe that somebody, well, it's not what you believe. I mean, you have evaluations and medical evidence to show that somebody does not have the mental capacity to understand right and wrong. There's stuff like that you can be pointing out. So, yeah.
Good job.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been, I have a friend, a new friend that's running for Solano County District Attorney. And okay, this is gonna be fun, man, because like good old and so yeah, so I mean, she's a prosecutor. I think I mentioned this a little before. So I've had some really great conversations with her, and with she had another, I had lunch with her and with another prosecutor. They were talking about prosecuting child abuse cases, and but I mean, so I've just been prepping her so the current Solano County district attorney recused herself from 2 cases of police misconduct here in Vallejo, and referred them on to the state. And so she's running for re-election, and I just did not. I mean, she was asked questions like, well, she just sounded like talk about like a 12-year-old. That she said, like, well, what do you think? She was asked like, okay, well, what do you think about the Attorney General of the state of California saying this? She said, I don't care what they say. Like, what? Okay, you are part of you are part of the system. You are one. That's, I mean, you wouldn't say that about a supervisor at the place where you work. I mean, that's just not how things are supposed to work. And so she said that the reason she recused herself on these, she said, I'm responsible to the community, but I quoted, she said, I'm responsible to the community, and the community felt that there was a conflict, so I referred it on, even though I would have been able to do a good job anyway. I'm like, she sounds like fucking Trump. I mean, like, okay, you're saying there wasn't a conflict of interest, but people thought there was, so you pass this on to someone else. Like, no, you need to, I mean, that's just coward, like, okay, if you need to explain to people why, if you think you need to explain to people, like, okay, well, if there isn't a conflict of interest, then you need to explain that to people, and you need to, okay, you need to like be willing to like let people. So yeah, so when I was getting together with Sharon, I was just saying like, okay, people are going to be asking you about the cops. Okay, this is just, and so I was, you know, again, I mean, she's a fucking attorney. Because I said like, okay, well, would you prosecute cops? And she said, if she thought there was enough evidence to charge someone, she would. That's a real attorney answer. Yeah. So that'll be interesting. I mean, I love politics. I'm excited to like help out with her campaign. And yeah. Want to take another break?
Let's do it.
Okay. We'll be back shortly, everybody.
Let's go. He don't even know me yet, but he really tryna see what's next. You are out of town, nigga. You just wanna see me flex. Don't know who I wore, no guess. Oh yes, that's Gucci, Louis, Prada. He gon' spend a couple dollars. Leave some lipstick on his collar. Curve the fuckboys tryna holler. We get on like a light. Different city every night. If I want it, then he swipe. And remind me, keep it tight. Spend a check on me, ain't nothing changed. Didn't give him brain, he did all the above. He gon' make it rain, groupies go insane. All the money in the world can't buy my love.
Baby, I can tell that you falling.
Really can't buy my love.
Blowing all your money just because.
You really can't buy my love.
Paper ain't gon' catch you when you falling.
You really can't buy my love.
Money ain't gon' help you buy my love.
You really know. He don't even know me yet. All he wanna do is flex. And he just wanna see what's next. Baby boy be blowing checks. Oh yes. Flex. Flex. Blowing checks. Flex. Flex. Blowing checks. He sold his soul and bought me a range and a new ass. I'm so vain. Spit the check on the kitty, then the new one came. Funny what we do for the fame. What a shame, yeah, you cute as hell with a couple mil. Lose all that shit, see who really down. Said he wanna keep me around. Treat me like it's fortune, I'm the best thing he found. He buy it, then I stank. I get everything I want. Bro, hoes tell me I'm a cunt. Cause I rock it and I flank. My bank account got a few zeros. He think he a hero, I give no fucks. Won't commit till he's with the shit. All the money in the world can't buy my love.
Baby, I can tell that you falling.
You really can't buy my love.
Blowing all your money just because.
You really can't buy my love.
Paper ain't gon' catch you when you falling.
You really can't buy my love.
Money ain't gon' help you buy my love.
Really know. He don't even know me yet. All he wanna do is flex. And he just wanna see what's next. Baby boy be blowing checks. Oh yes. Flex. Flex. Blowing checks. Flex. Flex. Blowing checks.
Sun shining in the winter. You either eat a steak or wonder what's for dinner. When we was little, they said everyone a winner. They go rush, but you really chasing glitter. The high gone, but you chase it with the liquor. You jogging place, hoping to get thinner. winner. The tech rush, if you ain't techie, then you glitter. Gentrified your ass right out of your rental. I'll move to Antioch, start to Sacramento. They come before you next, smile if you get dental. Don't be surprised that these niggas not that simple. Pretty niggas, popping niggas like a pimple. Bodies laid out, bunch of fallen temples. Who built Wall Street? Never mind your mental. Push the black Wall Street, push the black market. Close to the edge and you pushed it like a racket. Northern California goes, Northern California goes, Northern California goes, Northern California cold, Northern California cold. Northern California goes, Northern California goes, Northern California goes, Northern California cold, Northern California cold. Man provide for his children. Man got no job, but somehow man got gun. Man no get far if man always gonna run. Fight or flight, boy, tell me where you run from. Running to the strip club, running from his children, running from the cop car, running from his baby mom, running to the streets. If you try to escape that, then you label him a thief. How the saying go, baby, freedom ain't free. Text us to your message, cause the IRS a ting. Cooked up by the West Wing. Who built the White House? Never mind, just sing. Just dribble, stand up and salute for the team. Kaepernick hardly forgot your history. J. Edgar Hoover say shoot down every king. I don't give a damn who the Black Panthers killed. Trayvon Timmy is treated like Emmett Till. Northern California goes, Northern California goes, Northern California goes, Northern California cold, Northern California cold. Northern California goes, Northern California goes, Northern California goes, Northern California cold, Northern California cold.
Running after you, I'll be on your line. It's hard to keep track of you, but I can't keep up. If you ask me, I'm down. I promise I'll try, but I can't keep up. I can't keep up with you.
Diva, I'm the 5'5" cutie, brown eyes, tight booty, round thighs. In the studio, my mic sounds nice. In and out, then I bounce like
I can't keep up with you.
I don't be where y'all go. Y'all know I got raw flow that takes me round the world like where's Waldo? Flexing, texting, so fashion next spin. Next him, cause my phone is my best friend. I get the most love on the worst app, but I was liking all your thirst traps. You DM slide, so I flirt back. And now we hanging like my purse strap. Then it's like, tell your ex, take a dirt nap. Hashtag, with your bird ass. First class, I deserve that. I had to let him go because he think the earth flat.
I stay running after you, I'll be on your line. It's hard to keep track of you, but I can't keep up. If you ask me, I'm down. I promise I'll try, but I can't keep up. I can't keep up with you.
Who you loving, who you wanna be hugging? You be bugging, you just gonna keep fronting, punk. Acting like you ain't missing this. I only took you back cause I listen to sis. If you lucky, I'll bring you on tour with me. Yes, I'm a diva, I be on my foreign thing. Eating eggs Florentine while we quarantine. And that night the room looking like a horror scene. That's right, looking like you got body. I do the trust fall knowing that God got me. Pop brownies and hot toddies. In the sauna playing Sade and Bob Marley. You probably can't keep up with the diva. I grab my passport and visa, I'll leave ya. Gone somewhere with my feet and my weaver. High on life, weed and tequila.
I stay running after you, I'll be on your line. It's hard to keep track of you, but I can't keep up.
Yeah, what's going down? It's your boy DJ Ro. Anna, you ready to do this?
Yes, I am. Yes. Okay, yeah, I got my Roman. Okay, wait, public. Let's just go live here. Say hi, Roman. Roman, say hi. Say hi. Okay, so about a year ago, a while ago, we talked about the Chagos Islands, which were they're in the Indian Ocean, and basically, like in the they were part of Mauritius, Mauritania, and Mauritius, and when Mauritius gained independence from Great Britain, they kept Chagos Island as territory, and then they cleared everybody off to make room for a military base. I listened to a podcast about that about a year ago. And so this was all about 50 years ago. So there's now a ship that's headed from Mauritius with people from with Chagosians, and it's the first time that they've been allowed to enter the place they were kicked out of. And yeah, there's journalists too. So yeah, hopefully there'll be some coverage of this, because this was, yeah, there's journalists, there's lawyers on board. The UN General Assembly accepted in 2019 an opinion by the International Court of Justice that this was unlawful. See, yeah, it was like they struck a deal and like told like people in Mauritius, like, okay, well, you guys, like, okay, we'll we'll go ahead and do this, but we get to keep these islands. So yeah, so hopefully people will get their homeland or get compensation. So I've been reading. Okay, so the other point that, since I was reading all about Willie Francis, I read about Huey Long, who I'd kind of heard of. He was Louisiana, he was a governor and a US senator, and he ran for president. He was going to run for president. He was going to primary FDR. He was supposedly kind of a populist, but also a real crook. And so it's one of those names that you hear a lot and don't really know too much about. So he was assassinated in 1935 at the age of 42. This guy that wrote the book on Willie Francis, I've talked about his books a lot because he also wrote about the Groveland murders. He just manages to get a whole lot in there about besides just the case. Okay, now here's something do you do any I was reading about there's this virtual reality like Meta thing, and so now there's somebody's reporting that she was gang raped in Meta, in the virtual reality place. I read that a couple of weeks ago, and then I was reading something here about something else, about a harassment, about being cyber flashed, and
oh my God, really?
Yeah. I'm like, why don't you take the fucking headset off? I was trying to, is anybody still listen? I was looking at it to see. That's why I was looking at it again, because I was trying to figure out, like, wait, am I missing something?
No, that sounds silly. That's almost like playing Grand Theft Auto and shooting someone on Grand Theft Auto and then saying, "Oh, they shot me." So I don't know. Yeah. If people start getting in trouble for that, I don't know what to say. Dude, that's just going to be so stupid.
Why don't you just can't you just like take the thing off your head and say I'm done?
Oh, it's like a video game. If you don't want to be on there, don't be on there.
Well, yeah.
Simple like that. Because I mean, if people started getting in trouble for that, that would kind of go into the video game realm. Because you could play, I don't know if you know much about video games, but like Grand Theft Auto is an open world. So you can play the story mode, then there's an online mode. On the online mode, there's people from all over the world playing Grand Theft Auto. So you can go on Grand Theft Auto and beat, let's just say I just walk up to a person and beat them up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what are they going to do? You know, I don't know how that would work, but it's a video game, so.
Yeah, I started looking it up, and then I was looking at an article because then they were saying that you hear like real voices.
Well, I mean, you can hear the real people talk. It's no different than any other video game. Like when you have your, like we're doing right now, you have your headset on.
Okay.
Me and you're playing video games. Hey, Anna, I hate you, Anna. You're a dork, Anna, or blah blah blah. I say that.
Oh, man, so I just turn it off.
You'll either turn it off, and sometimes you can mute people, or you can, you know, like you said, or you can just mute the whole thing and don't even have to listen to it. But people are just weird. I mean, I'm just hoping we don't go to that side of it. I mean, if it's virtual, they should, like I said, they should learn to either not play it no more, or make it to where they can block the person. Most of the time you can block people on video games.
That's what and that's what the company claimed, that they're working on that, because you know, because my brother's working on this case to improve you know, Snapchat and Facebook for children, because I was reading about the metaverse, and like apparently they don't have any like age, you know, it's real easy for any age to get in there. And so, so they need to work on safeguarding children too. Like, there needs to be safeguards for children, but I'm like, you're a grown ass person and your avatar is being, hi, Pamela. So I just don't really get that. So, I don't know, man. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. I just feel like, okay, maybe I think you could view that as a sign that people are like spending too much time in virtual reality and should spend some time in reality. Because like,
I think that's what virtual reality is trying to do in the first place anyway.
Yeah.
I think they're trying to get everybody to a point where, like you said, you're going to be sitting somewhere like a vegetable with, you know, those glasses on and just, I mean, and this, I don't know, man. That's just it. I hope they don't let that get too far.
Yeah. Because, you know, because it just seems like, okay, well, it also seems like, that should be kind of, you know, that should be one of the advantages of online, you know, that you can turn people off, you know, like, children don't have the capability to protect themselves, and the judgment, like, there needs to be rules, and there needs to be safety measures for children. I was looking at another there was another news segment on about, you know, about that family my brother's working with, that's and I guess the kid became so addicted to their phone that if they tried to take her, when the family tried to take her phone, she'd attack them. She broke her sister's nose. So, I mean, they are really, really fucking brave. I mean, because this is the mother and sister of the 11-year-old that took her own life. And so if you go on, you know, you're going on TV and you're answering questions about something that's really painful for you, and then, you know, they're going to be getting a lot of online abuse because people are just fucked up that way. So, so I wrote to my brother and I just said, like, God, he said that usually when people tell him they're not doing something for the money, he doesn't believe them, but he usually doesn't believe them, but he does believe these people, because, you know, you're just, because I mean, when you're being asked about something, this was sort of, there was a really, really sad case in Vallejo where, rest in peace, Nitsa Green, a young woman took her own life, and I was talking about it with my friend Katie St. Clair, the journalist who wrote an article about it. And a lot of the time people are encouraged not to write articles about suicide because people can sort of get this copycat thing, but that I don't know. I mean, there were just reasons that this was newsworthy. So Katie called a suicide hotline to get advice from people about how to go about writing the story and how to talk to the family. So that was cool. She said, I said, I bet the people at the hotline appreciated that. They don't, not many people do that. So yeah, she said she told them that at first that she was, thought she might've been taking away time from somebody in crisis, but that these organizations are there to help people that are affected by suicide in any way. So yeah, it's really sad because the family the cops handled it really bad. I mean, they're not counselors, they're cops. They didn't, so the family is just dealing with grief and trauma. And so, yeah, so I just, there already was one memorial, but so I'm just sincerely sending my wishes and my prayers to that family that they find some peace. And yeah. Okay, so I tried to watch Twilight Zone and I got bored. I gave it a try.
And
I got bored. It was boring. It was just these two boring guys like driving in a car. They were boring. I gave it a try, not spending any more time. Okay. So now you gotta, so come on, you gotta at least, now you gotta watch 20 minutes of now you gotta watch.
Okay, I'm gonna watch 20. And what is it on?
It's on Netflix.
It's on. Okay, I'm gonna watch. What is it called again?
Downton Abbey.
Downton Abbey?
Yeah.
Downtown Abbey?
No, Downton. DOWNTON. Downton.
All right, I'm gonna like this weekend. I'm gonna watch Downton Abbey.
I bet you'll like it. You don't need to. I bet you'll like it. You never know. We'll be okay.
We're gonna see.
Yeah.
We'll discuss it. We'll discuss it on next Tuesday.
Next week, yeah.
Roselle's watching of Downton Abbey.
Downton Abbey. Yes. I'll really. Who knows, man? You might get hooked.
I feel like this is a setup, y'all.
It's not I just want to, hey, I tried this. I just want you to try Downton Abbey. Hey, at least I'm not it was a TV series for like 6 series or something. And then there was a movie and there's a new movie. There's been a movie and I'm not even asking you to go to the movie. I would. Yeah. There's a movie coming out in a couple months. So yeah, I know. Before I watched the show, I could not figure out how to say it either because I was like, wait, isn't it downtown? Like, no, it's Downton. Good. Okay, so everybody, we can look forward to hearing Roselle's review of Downton Abbey.
Since she down my review, and what did you watch again? You said you watched the
Twilight Zone.
Okay, and you did not like it.
I didn't like it.
So where was the science fiction in it?
Only everybody but you says it's science fiction.
Where's the science fiction in it?
I don't know.
You know what? There could be certain shows if you watch the episodes, the whole thing. Like I guess certain shows, but it had different episodes. The movie wasn't too much science fiction. I guess.
Even though every single thing I read about it said that it was science fiction.
When you watched it, did you see science fiction?
No, but I got bored of it. Yeah, because they were talking about because they were talking about something strange happening.
Wait, so you didn't even pass the beginning of the movie?
I watched
You were
20
watching when they
minutes.
were sitting in the car?
Yeah, I watched 20 minutes. That was long enough.
Really?
Dude,
So you
no.
didn't watch it? You didn't see what happened?
I was
While they were talking, you didn't see
bored.
what happened?
I was bored. 20 minutes. Come on. Nothing gets more. If I'm bored after 20 minutes, I turn something off.
Oh my gosh, Anna.
Hey,
Something
I
is
know.
happening.
I know myself.
Understood.
What?
I said you would have understood.
No, I wouldn't have. I don't know why.
That was Dan Aykroyd. And you know that was Dan Aykroyd, right?
So? What do, come on, you're not going to get me in, you know, this is just not my, it's not my realm. If I was interested in it, I would have watched it 40 years ago when people, or like 30 years ago when people I knew were watching it.
You just didn't give it a chance because you think it's science fiction, and it's not.
Dude,
science
no,
fiction.
I do. Well, I like science. I don't dislike science fiction. Dude, I don't understand why you don't believe me on this. I would have been, if I was enjoying it, I would have stayed watching it. Nothing gets more than me than 20 minutes, you know. I don't know why you think me, I mean, why do you think me personally would like it?
Because it's kind of interesting when you see what's happening, then you see the ending. It's like, oh my gosh, wow, that's what really happened. But you didn't see the ending, so you wouldn't know. You had to listen to him when he picked up the hitchhiker, which was Dan Aykroyd, and you would have saw what happened. You would have been like, whoa, that was crazy.
Dan Aykroyd is not interesting to me. That's just not my realm. Come on, I'm interested in a lot of things, but not Dan Aykroyd.
Wow, Anna.
That's not my
I don't
genre.
know you anymore, Anna.
Oh, yeah, I just watched like 20 minutes. There's this character on Parks and Recreation called the Douche. I watched there.
Wait, the Douche. I want to see.
Yeah, that's what he's called.
That sounds funny.
It's really funny. I'll send it to you. I've been watching it over and over again. It's really
That's
funny.
something I could watch. But see, if
Okay.
you watched Twilight Zone, that would have been funny too, because you would have saw what happened in the car.
You know what? There's an episode in Parks of Recreation where somebody is like obsessed with Twilight, and he like chains himself to a pipe, and until they put the book Twilight into a time capsule. You kind of sound like that.
But Twilight, isn't that the movie with the
vampires?
With the romantic vampire? Dude, that's nowhere near Twilight.
I know, but of all the things that you think I would like, it wasn't interesting to me visually. The way the characters were dressed and how they looked, I was like, I don't want to look at people like that. They're not interesting.
It was the 80s.
Exactly. I hate the 80s. I hate the 80s. Aesthetically, the 80s suck aesthetically. What can you name me any great films that came out of the 80s?
No, that was the 70s. Let me think here. No, that was more the early 90s. Hold on.
There you go.
Wait, no, it's not over. Scarface. Woo!
Okay. Okay, I'll give you that. Yes, Scarface is great. Okay. It's not, Scarface is great. I don't know if it can
Rocky.
Boring.
You're like the only one in the world that's ever said that. Rocky is not boring.
Okay. Not it. Well,
the one where you didn't see Rocky 3 when he fought against Mr. T. That's why. See, if you would have saw that episode, that movie, you would have liked Rocky.
Okay, so well, I'll give you Rocky. I'm just weird, I know, but okay. But come on, I mean, the 70s were I don't know. The 70s had great movies, man. You know,
they both had great movies.
Taxi Driver, Dog Day Afternoon.
The 80s did too, but the 70s got it. The Warriors, I like the Warriors and stuff like that. That was good.
What's the Warriors?
You've never seen the Warriors?
No. And I'm not going to unless you watch Downton Abbey.
I'm going to watch Downton Abbey. So you're going to watch the Warriors?
What's it about?
It's about a gang that was framed, and they got to get from one part of New York to the other part of New York.
Oh, I like gang movies.
So you might like it. It's called The Warriors.
Okay. But that doesn't count because I like gang movies. I like gang movies. I like mafia movies.
Since you're not going to give Twilight Zone a chance, well,
I gave it.
Watch The Warriors.
I gave it 20 minutes. Nobody gets
enough time. You didn't even finish the end of what was supposed to happen in the car
because I did not like looking at them. Look, I grew up around people like that, and I didn't like them then, and I don't like them.
But if you would have saw what happened, you would have probably been like, "Oh,
no, I wouldn't."
I get what Roselle was saying.
Downton Abbey. I want to report. Okay, guys, you heard it here. Next week, Roselle's gonna tell us what he thought about Downton Abbey.
Yes, and Anna's gonna watch The Warriors. Since she couldn't stand watching Twilight Zone, which I don't know why, she's like the only person in the world that couldn't watch it.
I don't like Patti Smith either. There's other stuff I don't like that everybody's supposed to like too. Yeah, I don't like Patti Smith. There's other stuff, but look, no. Twilight Zone, no. But yeah, well, also you don't even need to, yeah, but I was watching the clip of the douche over and over. So funny. So yeah, I'm gonna watch it when we get off the show and send it to you.
Yep, send it to me.
Okay, so do you got any shows this week?
No.
You don't? Oh, okay.
No, you know what? I think on maybe Sunday I do.
Oh, okay.
Sunday's the 13th, right? Yes, it is.
Know.
Yeah, I do on Sunday.
Okay. Okay. Well, I will look forward to hearing what you think about Downton Abbey. So everybody, Pamela, sweetie, I hope I see you soon. Everybody that was listening, Yahaira, Trika, everybody, thank you so much. I'll see you next week.
All righty.